2 months left to 2026. Think back. What did you promise yourself this time last year? Save more money, be more disciplined, finally feel secure. You probably did save more, maybe your bank balance even looks better than it used to. But be honest, do you actually feel safer? Does that number make you sleep better at night? Or do you still wake up with the same anxiety, just with a slightly higher balance? Because here's the truth nobody told you. Saving money doesn't make you safe anymore. It makes you stuck. And that's not an accident. It's the system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Make you feel like you're doing everything right while quietly profiting from your stillness. Chapter 1: The Birth of the Saving Illusion. The save first mindset wasn't born from greed, it came from survival. Your grandparents lived through uncertainty, wars, recessions, currency collapses. To them, saving wasn't a choice, it was survival instinct. They didn't trust the system, so they held cash close. And in their world, it made sense. The interest rate on savings accounts was 8 to 10%. Inflation was low, the world moved slowly. Back then, saving was power, because the system rewarded patience. But the system changed. The interest disappeared, inflation grew faster, and the rules of the old world quietly expired without telling you. Yet somehow, you kept playing by them, because save money still sounds wise, even if it's no longer true. Chapter 2: The Modern Trap. Fast forward to today. You deposit money. The bank thanks you for your financial responsibility. And what do they do next? They lend it out to someone taking bigger risk and earn 9%. Meanwhile, you get 2%, or maybe 3% if you're lucky. Your money didn't grow, it got recycled by the very system that convinced you to freeze it. This is the genius of modern finance. They made safety look like intelligence and made stagnation feel like virtue. You're the perfect citizen, cautious, disciplined, and predictable. They don't need to control you with fear, they control you with responsibility. Chapter 3: The Fear They Sell You. When people talk about saving, it's never about interest rates, it's about emotion. Fear of losing, fear of uncertainty, fear of failure. The banks, the media, even your family, they feed this fear because it keeps the machine stable. You were never taught to understand risk, only to avoid it. But avoiding risk is still a risk, just a quieter one. Because while you stay still, inflation eats your progress alive. You can't see it, but every year your purchasing power melts. The value of your saved money silently declines, and you call that security. That's like locking yourself in a cage and calling it protection. Chapter 4: The Emotional Trap Beneath It All. If you look deeper, saving isn't a financial habit, it's an emotional identity. You don't just save money, you become a saver. Cautious, controlled, responsible, and proud of it. Because saving makes you feel moral. It feels like discipline, intelligence, adulthood. But what if I told you it's also fear wearing a suit? Most savers don't want safety, they want control. They don't want more, they just don't want to lose. It's not the growth they crave, it's the avoidance of chaos. That's why even when they have enough, they don't feel enough. Their balance grows, but their anxiety doesn't fade. Because no amount of control can satisfy a fear that's emotional, not logical. Chapter 5: The System That Needs You Still. Now zoom out. Imagine the economy as a giant engine powered by movement, spending, borrowing, investing, consuming. But that engine only works if most people stay inside it, predictable, compliant, and never questioning the design. So, who keeps the system running? Workers who trade time for wages, consumers who trade wages for products, and savers who trade freedom for the illusion of control. If everyone learned how to make money move efficiently, how to build, invest, and compound, the system would lose its control. So instead, they glorify saving. They call it financial wisdom. But wisdom for whom? For the system that borrows your savings to fund its own growth. For the corporations that use your predictability to sell stability. For the government that needs your stillness to keep its currency circulating safely. is not evil, it's just engineering. The system doesn't need you poor, it just needs you calm. And nothing calms a population more effectively than the illusion of safety. Chapter 6: The New Reality of Money. We live in a different economy now. Money isn't slow anymore, it moves at the speed of algorithms. Crypto, AI, startups, decentralized systems, value flows 24/7. But the education system still trains you for 1980. Work hard, save consistently, retire at 60. Except inflation doesn't wait, opportunities don't wait, and the internet turned value creation from slow accumulation into exponential acceleration. You can't save your way to freedom in an exponential world. You can only learn your way to freedom. Chapter 7: The Irony of Modern Safety. People say, I just want to feel safe. But think about this: safety in 2025 doesn't come from saving, it comes from adaptability. Safety now means having multiple income streams, knowing how to make decisions under uncertainty, learning faster than the system can change. Because in a world that never stops changing, staying the same is the biggest risk of all. Chapter 8: Why Most People Stay Stuck. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most people don't want to grow, they want permission. They want someone to say, you've saved enough, now you can move. But nobody will. Because safety is addictive. It feels comfortable, predictable, rewarding. Until one day, you realize you've spent 10 years preserving a version of yourself that never evolved. That's why the middle class, the responsible savers, are the most financially anxious group today. They do everything right, but they feel everything wrong. Because they follow the system's version of safety, not their own version of freedom. Chapter 9: The Reframe. Save as a stage, not a strategy. Let's get one thing straight: saving isn't evil. You need savings. You need stability. You need foundation. But the moment you confuse stability for progress, you start dying slowly. Saving is the pause between opportunities, not the replacement for them. Use saving to protect your short term, but use learning, investing, and creativity to protect your long term. Because safety that never moves becomes comfort, and comfort is just a polite version of fear. Chapter 10: The Mirror Moment. So maybe this video isn't about banks or inflation or the system. Maybe it's about you, about the part of you that's tired of staying cautious but still terrified of losing control, about the part that says, I'll start investing when I have more. I'll take the leap when I feel ready. I'll learn about money when life slows down. But life won't slow down. The system won't change for you. You have to change within it. You don't need more safety, you need more skill. Because skill builds real safety, the kind that doesn't depend on interest rates or market trends. Chapter 11: The New Definition of Safety. Safety isn't about avoiding loss, it's about trusting yourself to recover. It's about knowing you can adapt faster than you can fall. The rich don't feel safer because they have more. They feel safer because they know how to rebuild if they lose it all. That's the mindset the system doesn't teach. Because once you learn it, you stop depending on them. Final truth. So here's the truth most people never face: saving money doesn't make you rich, it makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to control. The banks want your deposits, the system wants your obedience. But freedom doesn't live in obedience, it lives in awareness. Saving isn't the enemy, staying a saver forever is. When you understand money, you stop trying to feel safe and start becoming powerful. If you want to see what the system never teaches, how to think, act, and grow beyond the illusion of safety, get the Money Mirror Playbook, available on Shopify, link in the description. It's not just a guide, it's the reflection of everything the system doesn't want you to understand about wealth. The mirror never lies. The question is, are you ready to look into it?